Hello, everyone. Welcome once again
Hello.
to Quoth Raven, Loose Part Raven, and it's Thursday, May 1st. It's time to get started. Grant's here, and you know what that means, Chris? It means show that artwork. It means share that artwork.
Oh, yes. Oh, you want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me grab it. Yeah, let me grab it.
For those who don't know, I did a piece of pinup of one of Grant's characters, the Jersey Devil from League of Cryptids, and Chris is coloring it. This is what we got so far. It's not quite done yet. We're doing some corrections on it, but
a little touch up. But what do you think, Grant? I think it turned out pretty damn good.
Yeah, just waiting on Grant, but yeah.
Ha ha! Perfect.
Cool. Alrighty, man. We want to make sure you knew we were actually getting it done because we had kind of a I don't want to call it a delay, but just a lot of communications gaff here and there.
Yeah, and I hope you're doing okay, Grant. It seems like you got your electricity back.
Yeah, we figured that. Yeah, we figured that's why we hadn't heard back, and we figured what was going on. So, did you get my my email from PayPal? You should have, but I don't know. Hopefully you did. If not, we'll get back with in touch with you after the show. It's not a problem. Let's go ahead and see what else is going on. Oh, well, we have some sad news just to relay, unfortunately.
Yep.
For those who may not have heard, the great Jackson Butch Geist passed away recently, last day or so. It's been reported. Excellent artist on Micronauts and Sword of the Swashbucklers and all kinds of Marvel products. He did a Ruse, I think it was called Ruse for CrossGen, the Sherlock Holmes type one. That book. He'd been doing some other stuff more recently.
Apparently, he mentored Kelly Jones too, which I did not know.
He actually mentored a lot of people throughout his career. He was very much an educator and helped out a lot of people. That I think there's a lot of people who really are like feeling it tonight for that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people owe their career to him. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. There are certain people in this business, even if they're not full-fledged talent scouts, they always seem to be able to give back to the art form, and they not just their own work, but giving back to the community. And Butch was one of those kind of people, and he's going to be sorely missed. It was gone way too soon.
Absolutely.
So, I suppose on the so-called bright side of things, barring any unforeseen more lawsuits and other shenanigans, supposedly Diamond is now going to be sold to that secondary group of Universal and Ad Populum. It is what it is. Some people like it, some people don't. We'll see where it goes. moving forward. I imagine there'll still be some talk about it for the next few months as we wait to see how things change or don't change.
Yep, it's not going away anytime soon.
No, and I'm just kind of burned out on the whole thing with all the twists and turns and things that don't make a lot of sense to me, and don't make a lot of sense to other people too. It's not just me, but
right.
It just
the back and forth, and it's off, it's on, it's this, it's that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, usually this sort of stuff doesn't make sense to people on the outside unless you really delve deep into it and you're in the thick of it yourself. It can be like, what the heck is this?
I know, right? It's like I just want to know if they're going to distribute comics. That's all I want to know.
Well, it's not a question of whether or not they do that. I mean, that doesn't bother me.
No, but a lot of people are just like, I don't care about anything. I just want to know that everything's going to go back to the way it was.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to. There we go. No. If I do that, okay. Take your share off.
Take that off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I was trying to remove it and it wouldn't remove because it's not my thing to remove. That's why. But yeah. Let's see what we got here. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about for reviews tonight. So let's go ahead and get started with Absolute Martian Manhunter number 2. This is from DC Comics. $4.99. Writer is Dennis Camp. Artist is Javier Rodriguez. Lettering is Hassan Asmain El How. With cover artist by Rodriguez shown. Actually, this is the wrong list for cover artists. I apologize. It is the correct for the cover shown, but I don't know if this is the right one for the actual additional covers. If I may have messed that up. Anyway, editors are Sabrina Futch and Katie Kubert. Genre science fiction superhero. Released April 23rd, 2025. What it's about: the interdimensional alien consciousness, calling itself the Martian, continues its invasion and transformation of John Jones's mind. The by-the-book FBI agent has been drafted into a cosmic war that will make him question the very nature of reality. Woohoo! And test his beliefs in good, evil, and free will. What do I think? The writing's a bit shaded. It's slanted towards a certain, I don't want to say an ideology, but there's a pointedness to the writing. Camp is clearly trying to use current events. In this case, he's claiming that the story was influenced by the Brenton Harrison Tarrant shooting where the man walked in to 2 New Zealand mosques with multiple firearms and killed 51 people and injured 89 in March of 2019. I can see why certain segments of fandom don't like it. And they think that he's either prescribing or promoting the person or his groupthink, which his groupthink was the Great Replacement theory. I'm not going to get into all that. But short thing version is all the other races are here to replace the white people. Sure we are. Yeah. But anyway, in Subliminal, he is showing how different forces can have influence both in good and evil ways because both the Martian and the White Martian are at work in this story. Other thing going on here is he seems to be partially influenced by Hunter S. Thompson in this series, particularly from the work Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. John Jones is showing slight parallels to the Thompson Raoul Duke character at times. In fact, this cover kind of reminded me of the poster for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for the movie with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, visually it's very trippy, just like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, there's got to be something going on with that. But Javier Rodriguez is really the star of the book, in my opinion. I'm just really loving his visual design and color choices. It has a sort of similar vibe to Howl, which we will discuss in a little bit, in that both sort of pertain to alien invasions and one's personal perceptions of the world around you and how that's paramount to one's survival. I give this one a 4 out of 5. Did you get a chance to read this one?
I did not.
Okay, then. We'll just go ahead and move on. Go ahead.
All right. This is Arkham Horror, The Terror at the End of Time. Number 1 through 4, $3.99. Publisher is Dark Horse Comics. Writer is Cullen Bunn. Artist is Andrea Mutti. Colorist Valerio Alora. Lettering Hassan Atsmain Elau. Cover artist is Raphael Albuquerque. Editor is Brett Israel and Tara McCarran. Released August 2024 through April 2025, and what it's about. Life was all just one big game to adventuring socialite Jenny Barnes. That was all until her sister was abducted by a dangerous cult. Although Jenny thwarted the cultists' sacrificial endeavors and battled the eldritch monsters at their command, the high priestess Abigail Olmsted fled and took Izzy with her. Private investigator Joe Diamond may not understand Jenny's story, but he understands loss. Joe and Jenny must work together and follow the clues to find Izzy, but more horrors await them in Arkham, Massachusetts, and time appears to be running out. The first comic-based addition to Arkham Horror Universe, a Lovecraft horror from entertainment leader Asmodee, featuring a cooperative adventure board game, cooperative living card game, and several tie-in novellas.
What did I think? Bunn and Moody do a decent enough job. I thought this might be more up Chris's alley since he's into all the cryptids and Cthulhu and stuff. But I would have never bothered if I'd realized this was a licensed IP book with all the other stuff linked to it. I lost all interest in this once that came to my attention. I mean, Cullen Bunn has all these creator-owned books out as it is. He's been known to put out as many as 20 titles in a given month between his creator-owned and his freelance assignments. So I tend to be a little more prone to only support his creator-owned work because, hey, if you aren't making enough living off of 8 to 12 creator-owned a month, you don't deserve to be gainfully employed freelancing on top of that, in my opinion. With that in mind, the writing is workmanlike. It's nowhere near his best effort. It's not bad, mind you. It's more like a B- level effort instead of an A grade effort, in my opinion. Plot could have used some tightening up. The characters were good if a tad predictable, but that's not entirely Bunn's fault since these are characters from a video board card game, I suppose. Artistically, if I'm being honest, the best thing about the books are the covers that you're seeing here by Raphael Albuquerque. Andrea Muti is a decent enough artist, but it just feels like I'm looking at rough storyboard work rather than a full-fledged comic art. The coloring by Valerio Aloro doesn't have consistency or the power I feel it should have. Chris can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I just felt like it was muddled up compared to the cover work that Albuquerque was doing. And Muti style can be hard enough to read it just in black and white series on its own. So, but Chris, you might have a different opinion. What is yours?
I fairly enjoyed this. I'm always down for any Lovecraftian adaptation. The fact that it was a board game, video game, card game, that didn't bother me at all. I thought the story was fantastic. I'm not familiar with like the link to the other IPs, but I thought this as a standalone. I thought this was really good. The art was okay for me. It was hit and miss. The colors were the colors were okay, just not. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it.
I felt like the colors were kind of.
Do you have pictures? Do you have pictures from it?
Yeah, I'm going to show in a minute, but I'm going to show the best one. Okay. The best image I could find in the group is this one, and this looks halfway decent.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
But even with this, it just feels like there's a, did we really need to have 2 moons in one in each segment there? The kind of weird mistiness that's kind of like slathered over the art.
Yeah, over some of it, yeah.
It looks just kind of odd to me. I just wasn't really feeling it for some of the colors. It just felt like it muddied up the art somewhat. But then, like I said, his pencils and inks were a little bit. I won't
Rough to
say
begin
rough,
with.
they're not rough. They're just open enough that if you color it a certain way, it looks muddy. I think.
Hey, Grant, you have a good night, man.
You have a good night. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, you know, I mean, when you compare that to the color here, this is very clear.
Yes.
You
Although
know?
I do like the color palette on that double page spread.
Yeah, the color palette was good. But that's like the best pages I saw of all 4 issues.
Right.
Most of them were like not that good in the color palette. They were more drab, more color, monochrome comparatively.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I felt that was a weakness as well. So that was why I wasn't really a fan. Anyway, I give this one a 3 out of 5, and Chris gives it a 4 out of 5. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is Bug Wars number 3 for $4.99. Writer or publisher Image Comics, writer Jason Aaron, art by Asrar, colors by Matthew Wilson. Cover is shown as Asrar and Wilson. There's also an Adam Kubert cover with colors by Laura Martin, lettering by Becca Carey, editor Heather Antos. Genre is science fantasy. Released April 23rd, 2025. What is it about? In this issue, prisoner of the barbaric Beetle clans, Slade Slaymaker, that's a lousy name, fights for his life against a horde of hungry mosquitoes with the mysterious spider witch Wista by his side and the marauding armies of the Ant Imperium coming to slaughter them all. Wow, that sounds like a heck of a lot of action, doesn't it?
It does.
What did I think? Well, there's a little more cussing and a little more nudity than I would prefer. It wasn't. I thought they cleaned it up more in issue 2, but they kind of raunched it up again. And I know that the creators are trying to make it more adult mature, so I just kind of have to shrug that off, I guess. But I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people complaining that this should have been more PG-13 than mature. The story's still solid. I do not know how many quote-unquote books they intend to do, but this is apparently Chapter 3 of Book 1, Lost in the Yard, which I presume will be the title of the collected edition later on. There is a weird kind of thing going on with the book, though. I mean, insects live relatively short lives. In this issue, he kind of finds out that there's all these older bugs that worship his father, who had been killed. And so if his father died years earlier, would there be any bugs left for him to remember him or what he was? Or is the father, quote unquote, the Jim, now more of a mythic entity to them that they worship out of habit? And what kind of legend have they made him out to be? It will be interesting to see where the writer goes with that. I have to say I wouldn't be getting this if it wasn't for the art by Asrar. Did you decide to try this again after issue 1 or not?
I did not get time to try this again, but I will say that I agree with you that there's really no reason for a book like this to have the nudity and the graphic swearing. It's just not necessary. Just the bug wars, the kid shrinking, and the whole feel of it is PG-13. The other stuff seems forced.
Yes and no. There's enough darkness to it that it isn't quite kid stuff, even without the nudity and the other stuff going on. But it just depends on how far they want to take it for the actual danger and threat to the family overall.
Right. Okay.
Grows. which I presume they're going to make it go pretty dark, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, if this ever becomes an animated feature or Disney picks it up for a live action, it will be PG-13.
Well, we'll see. I gave it 3.5. Since you haven't graded it, you haven't seen it, you can't grade it. But we'll go on to the next one. Epitaphs from the Abyss, number 10. Publishers Easy Comics Only Press for $4.99. Various writers and artists, genre horror comedy, released April 23rd, 2025. This is an anthology series meant to invoke the sensibilities of the classic EC style comics of the 1950s and 1960s, but with a more modernized style from today's popular writers, quote unquote popular writers and artists. Each issue has multiple stories from different creative teams. Wow, I guess they're running out of stories already. Only 3 stories in this issue. None of them were particularly good. They're okay. Ho hum. I don't have much time to say. I don't have much else to say. Got no time to say it in because we got other things to talk about. So I'm just going to give it a 3. We're going to move along. Unless you guys want to see some art from the book. Do you guys actually want to see this book? How about you, Chris? You want to see?
I would like to see some art from it, yes.
Okay.
Because you never know what you're getting.
Because you never know if I don't show. All right. Well, there's 3 stories in here. We got I Don't Miss You, which is about a guy who basically is like talking about I don't miss my girlfriend or I don't miss my loved one, whatever type thing. It's okay looking. Nothing, it's not terrible. But he's an assassin. That's what he does for a living. And so he gets an order that has his name on it. Well, who ordered for his death? I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to do my thing. There's my girl. She's not talking to me. And she's over to the bakery.
So does he end up killing her?
Of course.
Okay. Because therefore the play on words, I don't miss you.
Right. I don't miss you. And there you go. But then, another one, Splinter. The splinter got in his hand and it turned him into something. And it's like, who cares? He ends, my hand's getting ruined. My hand's getting ruined. What am I going to do? Oh my gosh. So what do you think he's going to do to his hand? Or his
Cut
arm?
it off.
You got it, with a saw. You see how boring and stale that is, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
very lackluster.
Very lackluster. So, like I said, it's just there. I'll give it a 3 because none of them are like technically bad art or anything. They're just there. So, yeah, that's what that one is.
And technically, it's a comic book, so.
Technically, it's a comic book, so we'll just move on. Green Lantern Dark, number 4 of 7 for $4.99. Publisher DC Comics, writer Tate Brumbaugh with art by Werther Dell'Edera, colors Giovanni Nero, lettering by Tom Napolitano, cover art by Werther Dell'Edera, editors are Andrew Marino, Andrea Shea, and Ash Padilla. Genres horror superhero, release April 30th, 2025. What is it about? New allies and new enemies. With the beast of Castle Bat tamed, the Green Lantern finds herself with new allies she never wanted nor never asked for in the mysterious Bat Wraith and the sullen, regretful Beast Boy himself, Gar. But despite her best attempts to shake them, she'll find she needs all the help she can get if she hopes to survive the traumas of her past. Well, it's about time we started showing some other heroes in this series. 4th issue out of 7. Interesting choices in Beast Boy and Bat Wraith. There's a character, Demona, that to be the enemy, which is more. She's basically looks like a Poison Ivy type. I hope there's more to her than that. It's pretty one note. I'm still wondering why the story is taking so long to unfold. I feel like it could have been so much further in the story or even completed by now. Because of 40 pages of book, 4 issues, 160 pages of story already, and most story arcs are done by now, if not earlier. It's not that it's necessarily boring or that I don't like what I'm seeing. I just want to get along. Let's get on with the story. Let's just move along. Another 120 pages of story. If we got 3 more issues of 40 pages, that's another 120 pages of story. That seems like it's just way too long to invest in a story to me. Maybe I'll feel differently if and when I read it as the complete set, as opposed to the bi-monthly chapfic means of a single issue. I don't know. Again, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I give it a 3. Here's the interior art. Let's open it to any old pages. Kind of just there, That purple guy is actually Beast Boy.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah, the art isn't bad. It's just very stylized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, this is the artist that does Something Is Wrong with the Children. So, or Something Is Killing the Children, pardon me. So, you're going to get that look. So if that's, if you're into that, that's cool.
He looks like he would be good on, like, the Addams Family.
I am the Bat Wraith. I am the Bat Spectre. But I mean, it's all right. I'm not disliking it. I'm just not quite sure what to think of it. And again, here's your kind of Demona Poison Ivy character.
Right. That's a cool image, though. I like that.
Yeah. So it's not bad. It's I've seen better. I've seen worse. The next one is yours. If it'll show. There we go.
All right. Primordial, 1999. Publisher is Dark Horse Comics. Creator is Bruce Zick. Letterer is John Hill. Editor, Randy Stradley. Assistant editor, Judy Koo. Design, Kathleen Barnett. Genre, fantasy. Age rating, 14 plus. Released October 13, 2021. What it's about. In the distant past, monstrous Mesoic beasts rule the great ocean. One day, Nilar, a resident of Lemuria, loses his inborn ability to breathe pure water and must have oxygen from air. Labeled an outcast and a freak of nature, he is banished from his homeworld to roam the deadly wastelands, on his journey to find a legendary place called Land. Nilar meets a giant sea turtle whose friendship may be his only key to survival. To finding a place he can call home. Together, they must battle bloodthirsty monsters, evade ruthless bounty hunters, and defeat a powerful, murderous wizard.
What did I think? Well, I happen to be a Zick fan from his Atomic Legion and Zone Continuum work, plus his animation work, notably on the Iron Giant and Titan AE. This is essentially a take on Kirby's Commandy and Thundard Barbarian with a hint of Robert E. Howard's Call of Atlantis. Now, I can't say it's the most original story, as he's clearly pulling from all these multiple influences, and I certainly wouldn't say this is his best work. I think that would still go to his Zone Continuum series, I think. But it's a relatively quick read. I think the art's absolutely gorgeous, at least the line art. I suspect that if you're not into those influences, however, it's going to fall flat for you as a story. The art should keep you interested, in my opinion, but the story doesn't grab you, it doesn't grab you. And that kind of leads us to Chris.
Yeah, I didn't care for this one. It was a slog. It was boring. I guess that prompts the question as to whether I like Commandy or Thundar. I do. It just wasn't feeling this story, and while I sort of get where Raven is coming from in terms of how well Zick is drawing the sea monsters and stuff, there's a lot of way I feel is at best mediocre art too. Particularly the colors. I mean, the cover looks really good, but the pages are just page after page of drab, green, brown, like one tone. Like that just ruined the whole thing for me. And every page I flipped, my thought was, this guy needs an anchor. He needs an anchor. He needs an anchor.
I don't know about that, but
no, this would have been so much better with an inker and a little more depth in the colors.
Actually, I think if the coloring was just on par with how it was on this cover throughout the book,
Yes, absolutely.
I think that would have been enough. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Um,
the inside of the book is just so drab.
well, let's take a look at some of it to see what he's talking about. Now, this does not look bad, but it is all gray and greens and browns. You know, these
Yeah,
are actually
yeah, but
good.
when you get to like the sea
Oh no,
monster
no,
parts, and yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna. Don't you worry, I'm gonna show like these pages. These are just kind of there. It's
yeah,
almost
yep,
it's almost like a flat rather than a fully rendered coloring. Even though it
yeah.
is fully
There's
rendered coloring, you just lose everything through the page in a way.
yeah, there's
Um,
nothing special about that page.
right. You know, you know, these are amazing monsters,
Yes,
but you know, you kind of lose some of the depth perception as to what's going on because of the color. And we understand that you're deep underwater and there's gonna be a little bit of um, you know, color.
atmospheric perspective.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Um, but then, you know, he can do colors like this and have different colors, and that looks good.
Yeah, yep,
You
absolutely.
know, and that's what we're trying to get at. If it was just consistent to get different things in there throughout, maybe maybe Chris would like it a little bit more than he does. I give it a 4 because I'm kind of, I guess I'm just used to that and I know what he does and why. But Chris gave it a 2.5, and I can certainly understand um, your point of view as well.
Yeah, my view when I'm coloring underwater scenes is always think of a coral reef. Coral reefs are gorgeous. There's, just a variety of color. They're it's just
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I go about when I'm coloring underwater scenes.
Well, I think it depends on how deep you go because, I mean, the deeper you go, the less light you have. So, I mean, there's that too. But
True, but again, cool always trumps reality.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, our next one is Howl number 3 and 4 for $3.99 each. Publishers Ahoy Comics, writer Alyssa Whitney, artist is Morissette, letterer Rob Steen, designer John J. Hill, editor Tom Pear, backups by Martin Petler and Joe Orsak, Kurt Vanderbeek, and Amy Lee Sullivan. Genre science fiction. Number 3 was released on March 26th, and number 4 was released on April 30th, 2025. What is it about? Continuing a tale of 1950s paranoia in Greenwich Village. A plague of alien mushrooms advances dramatically as Ziva experiences a grisly encounter with the species' newest and most aggressive specimen. And surviving that, Ziva begins shockingly to explore the outrageous possibility that the romance she has with her extraterrestrial husband has a future. Now, firstly, I love the covers for issues 3 and 4, but they don't have anything to do with the story.
Right. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, they don't, but they are awesome looking covers. They just have they just capture a nice, wonderful sense of the 50s, 60s science fiction feel, and I like that. The story is great. The backups are awesome. I do suppose that some people are going to just write off the story as an invasion of the body snatchers motif, and insofar as the plot is what it's been so far, that does sort of become beholden to that ideology. Um, but what makes it special is Whitney's written a very personal work of semi-biographical nature with her parents as the central characters, while creating an engaging work with dark SF, body horror, and peculiar social commentary. Something that I'm not sure that any other publisher would have allowed her to get away with. And I commend the editor, Tom Payer, and anybody else who Whitney had in her inner circle giving her feedback to get this level of work out of her. Morissette is vastly underrated as an artist, and even though I think this series is and will be sorely overlooked, I hope that they do get noticed for this and that we see much more of their work afterwards. And in my opinion, the short story about Kurt Russell and the additional materials was hilarious. But let's see what Chris thinks.
Huge Kurt Russell fan. Not so much of The Thing. I know that's everybody's like favorite horror movie, but I just don't get it. I thought it was, I think the movie's kind of like slow and boring, and I don't know, just not my thing. So hugely disappointed. I wasn't hugely disappointed to learn the truth. I felt betrayed. I felt violated. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. The next thing, I'm going to find out this isn't fat. I was abducted by aliens and experimented on, and I'm actually pregnant with alien spores that take 50 years to gestate and birth.
This is me cutting up because he forgot to write his text. I had to cut him up a little bit there. Okay, now that's some body horror right there. I tell you that.
Did I not rate this?
No, you didn't give me anything on this.
Oh, I read this. Yeah. I would actually give this the same rating. This series, everything about it, the art, the writing, everything is just sharp as a tack. This is one of those books that you need to pick up. You need to go out and you need to pick up.
Okay, so we both give it 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and show some of the artwork real quick here. This is issue number 3. Of course, you got that gorgeous cover.
And as I was telling Raven, I always thought babies were creepy, but now even more so.
Oh yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there. This is, you can kind of see a little bit of the Mike Allred influence a little bit in this, I think. But it's certainly, our character Ziva is imagining going out in space as a space warrior with ray guns.
Which is probably where the cover comes from. So yeah.
That's about as close to where the cover comes from, right? But I want to get to the scenes with the baby to freak him out. Okay. Her neighbor gives birth, and the next person comes along and helps doctor give her, and so that's fine. They clean up the kid, and within moments, she's like, "Get this thing away from me! This ain't my kid. This is not what I gave birth to." Don't knock me under. No, I don't want to sleep. I'm just freaked out because that thing's not my baby. And the reason why it's not her baby, if you can't tell, those are supposed to be like really glowing red eyes.
Yes.
Because it's not actually a baby. You'll see it's actually spreading the invasion out of its mouth and covering her.
Spreading the fungus.
So it gets even worse. People. So yeah, Chris is a little bit grossed out by that.
Yeah, not much gives me the heebie-jeebies that absolutely did.
So again, 4.5 for that one. Next one is yours.
All right, we have the Slasher's Apprentice, number 1, $4.99. Publisher Mad Cave Studios. Writer Justin Richards. Artist Val Halverson. Color Rebecca Nulty. Lettering Buddy Bedouin. Editor James B. Emmett. Genre horror. Released April 30th, 2025. What it's about: Riley, a horror-obsessed podcaster with a slasher villain fixation, is seeking a new career path, helping her favorite legendary slasher, the Hopton Valley Killer, regain their long-lost notoriety while learning the ropes herself.
That's sure an interesting career choice.
Right.
I could not get into this. I will not give it as bad of a score as a certain book we're going to get to later, because I don't really have the familiarity with either the creators or the concept that I do else with that other book that we're going to talk about later. But this did not particularly appeal to me at all. But I did not pick this title for me. I figured it was Chris's thing. So, Chris, you were freestyling because you've never seen her write things down. Tell us what you think.
I never have time. I liked everything about this book. The art was fantastic. The coloring was just right up there. The story, just I thought it was really clever. Um, I like the cliffhanger at the end where she's actually with the killer, and yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I liked everything about this book. So
Okay. Well, I don't have any art to share for it, unfortunately. So, maybe we'll revisit when the when issue number 2 comes out. We'll revisit. Okay. Next one is the story that we're gonna have even less of a score for, I think. But first, we have to actually tell you what score we gave the Slasher's Apprentice, don't we? Let's see. Um, I gave it a 2. You gave it a 3.5.
yeah,
So, yeah, this is not my favorite thing. But anyway,
but you're not a horror guy, so
yeah. So anyway, we always get told you don't cover Marvel. We're going to cover Marvel now. Okay? Wolverine and Kitty Pryde #1, $3.99. Publisher Marvel Comics. Writer
what could go wrong?
Artist Dean Cosiero. Letters and colors by Carlos Lopez and Ariana Maher. Cover here by Alan Davis. There's a bunch of other covers, but this is the only one that kind of matters. Editor is Tom Barfsport and Mark Basso. Basso the Asso, I don't know. Genre superhero. Released April 30th, 2025. What is it about? Chris Claremont returns to the fan favorite duo. Okay. When Kitty Pryde nearly lost her soul to Ogun during her journey to Japan 40 years ago, Logan was there to keep the youngest X-Man on the path to good, but as a mysterious force threatens their lives while staying with Mariko Yoshida, it's going to take all of their combined mutant ninja and fighting skills. Ninja and fighting skill aren't ninja skills and fighting skills kind of the same thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just cutting and pasting their stupid excuse for solicitation here, folks. Protect those they love in an all-new adventure set in the aftermath of Chris Claremont's legendary Kitty Pryde and Wolverine limited series from 1984. At last, he tells the full story of the duo's journey in Japan before returning to the X-Men and the heartbreak, trials, and tribulations that made them into the characters they are today. No, multiple characters will make their first appearances in this issue. Woohoo! New characters? Really? Are they going to freaking matter? No, probably not. What do I think? I don't want revisitings of the greatest hits to be told now, 40 years later. I'm getting the rest. Now, 40 years later, I'm getting the rest of the story. What is this? You know, I can't think of that guy on the old TV or old radio.
It's Paul Harvey with the rest of the story.
Yeah, Paul Harvey. That's what I was trying to think of. It's like, that just ticks me off. I'm sorry. Damian Cosiero's art is crap. The coloring by Lopez is crap.
No mincing words.
The only thing that sort of reflects anything akin to what should be here is Claremont's script, and even that is a pale shade of what Master Eater once was. I see the stylistic pattern. I see the banter between the characters, but what I don't see is the depth of character that Claremont used to bring to the table. It's all very flat characterization, almost like he's just going through the motions. Even this cover feels phoned in. I mean, come on. If you color the hair of Kitty Pryde red and put the Hound costume on her, it's Rachel Summers.
Yep.
That's not what Kitty Pryde looks like. And we know damn well that Alan Davis can draw Kitty Pryde because of Excalibur. Yes, okay, the haircut's not going to be the long, flowing locks that she has in Excalibur, but at least get the face akin more to what Kitty Pryde's face looks like. And I'm just... You can do better, even with the katana cut.
Right.
I realize that this is a book that's supposed to be a fourth-tier textbook designed to appeal to 80s era fans, and then it doesn't really matter to the editors and the X office, but for crying out loud, at least fucking try. And now, class, you see why we don't bother reading and reviewing Marvel's product. Chris, what did you think?
Oh, God. All right, yeah, the bad art, bad coloring, the writing was so hokey. Oh, my God, it was just, head hurt from reading it. That's all you could say about this. Do not recommend, do not buy this book. It's horrible.
Yeah, and you have no idea how much that hurts me to say, because I am, I used to be a huge Chris Claremont fan, but...
Like, did Chris Claremont write this by his cat, like, walking across the typewriter? I'm
know.
wondering, because it's not Claremont. There's no way this is Claremont.
No, it's Claremont. I mean, there's the phrases, the way it's patterned, it's Claremont. It's just very, very flat because there's not much story to tell between the point that, this happens between this point and this point. We're going to tell the rest of the story. Whatever. But I thought you were going to read it my way. Art bad. Coloring
bad. Writing hokey. My head hurt from reading this. No more to say.
I mean, come on. This is just like Hulk smash book.
Yeah.
Hulk smash Claremont. More like Hulk smash Brevoort. Anyway, damn you, Marvel!
There,
and
we're through it.
Up with one more book.
We're through it. You want me to do this one?
Yes, this is yours.
Okay. You'll Do Bad Things, number 1, $3.99. Publisher is Image Comics. Writer is Tyler Boss. Artist is Adriano Tertulucci. Lettering is Hassan Atzman Elel. Editor is Courtney Menard. Genre horror. Released March 26, 2025. It has been 10 years since the release of He Came In With a Smile, the true crime smash hit that chronicled the brutal murders committed by the nursery rhyme killer. But in the decades since it was released, its author Seth Holmes hasn't produced another title. He wants to write a story with a happy ending, but every time his finger clacks across the keyboard, it always ends in his character's death. Worse yet, these tales of blood and barbarity that flow so freely from Seth's mind are starting to happen in real life. To what lengths will Seth go to find what he's looking for, and what will happen when he finds it?
I didn't get to this one. Oh my gosh, Raven didn't actually read the book. This is the first time it's ever happened. This is Chris's pick of the week. And I just could not get into it after all that. Especially since this is like the same thing as the Slasher's Apprentice to me. So I was like, no, I can let Chris talk about it.
I really, really enjoyed this book. Of course, the art and the coloring and everything I thought were just right on par. The story, I wasn't sure at first if, what was actually happening and what was his story. I kind of had to go back and figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Then I realized that, all the bad stuff, and I thought it was kind of clever that, he's writing these dopey, goopy love stories, and all of a sudden, something bad happens. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the story is very clever.
Okay.
So I enjoyed this a lot.
Okay. And he gives it a 4.5, believe it or not. So that's his pick of the week. and I think it pretty much closes us out for the week, if I remember correctly.
I think
But
so.
yeah, it was just a crazy week. This folks had some unexpected things going on the last couple of days that prevented me from reading some more of the books that we had originally planned to read. We had like another 5 books we were supposed to review, and we just couldn't get to them. That's what happens when people show up at your door wanting to sell you heavy duty cleaning equipment.
Like, who knew that door-to-door vacuum salesmen were still a thing? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah,
I had no idea.
right, right. So, it's crazy. But so next week, we got Raised by Ghost, which we were supposed to do this week. Mouse Guard, The Legend of the Black Axe, issue 2. Jump Scare, is it issue 3 or issue 4? It's next week.
I think it's issue 4.
Could be. I don't know. Galaxy of Madness number 9. Vanishing Point is a new series that we're going to try and get a hold of. We're going to get to Station Grand trade paperback, which we didn't get to this week. We're going to get to the Dawn Runner series from Dark Horse that we haven't gotten to yet. Minor Arcana number 6, and the new issue of Let There Be a Devil number 3 will be out next week as well. And we have some stuff. So, and we don't know if John's going to be here, but if John's here, he'll have a whole bunch of stuff to review for us.
Right?
Because he's got like 8 or 9 books that he has to like get caught up on, which I don't think even if he has the time off, he's going to get around to doing it because he's going to be recovering from his theatrical experience.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So and I have to say, I am admittedly not a straight, like, pure sci-fi fan. I don't care for it, but I'm gonna try and give all these books a chance. So,
okay. Well, I mean, not all of them are sci-fi.
No, but the ones that are.
Oh, okay.
Like Station Grand, Dawn Runner.
Yeah.
Dawn/Blade Runner, whatever that is. Galaxy of Madness.
Right. Yeah, really. I mean, we'll see. But anyway, tomorrow we'll be doing our movie night, and we're going to be watching or reviewing the 2023 film, The Creator.
The 2-hour and 25-minute film, The Creator.
Can you tell that what Chris is going to have to say tomorrow?
It's not a bad film. 2 hours over.
He says he feels bad for John N. I don't know why.
No, he's been in his glory doing his musical theater.
Yes, and we're happy for him.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's just that he's got like Thundercats, Herculoids, Metamorpho, Zootopia, just book after book after book that we haven't talked about because that's his, and so we have to wait until he's back before we talk about that. So that's all. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing the rest of the week, and we appreciate you watching. So if you want to contact me on social media, Lewis.BrightRaven at Facebook, at the Muskrat Channel X, at LewisBrightRave2, DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven for my art. If you want to see Chris's, you go to DeviantArt.com/FatBoys73. You're watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven exclusively on YouTube. Quoth the Raven, LBR72 at gmail.com. If you want to email me with questions or comments, if I don't get back to you on that channel, try LewisBrightRaven at yahoo.com. One final note before we head out. Chris, what are you doing this weekend? Come on.
What am I doing this weekend?
Saturday. Co-hosting.
Oh, gee. That comes up on you fast, man. So, Glasshouse, Glasshouse Graphics, David Campetti, and I are starting a new podcast. And thank you, Raven, for letting us talk about it. So it's going to be, our first guest is going to be Mike Diodato. And we're going to be talking to Mike, and we're going to be doing some portfolio reviews and talk about some comic news and just a bunch of other cool stuff. And it's free comic book days, so
Yeah. So we'll have.
so
he
yeah.
may, he may actually have to go over to the store before the show and go get some free comic book day books
Yeah, might have to.
and say, "Come on, Dave, let's talk about them." He goes, "I want mine." You don't want me to review those? I haven't even looked at them. You want me to look at them and review them? Really?
Well, we're gonna be going over a cover, or I'm gonna call it an ordeal, because it was an ordeal with the new artist, really good artist, but just the ordeal that David had trying to get this young man to actually do what he asked him to do. Yeah. So.
And before we go, come here.
You got the Midnight Monster.
Come on, baby. Come on up. Up. I don't want to come up now. I wanted to sneak up on you. I don't want to. Here I am. I'm here.
Oh, and the name of the show is Throwing Stones.
Throwing Stones, Glasshouse Graphics.
Yes, and it will be here exclusively on YouTube as well. So
yes, so I thought for sure you'd have it all lined up and ready to advertise and everything, but
oh, we're still doing editing on some video, and we're just doing.
Yeah,
it's never as easy as it seems.
No, it isn't, and you got until like 8 p.m. Saturday to get this done.
Yeah. Well, I will work diligently and get it done.
Okay. Should I pop in as a surprise guest?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. We'll see what we think. All right, folks. We appreciate you watching. Check out, again, Throwing Stones, Glasshouse Graphics on Saturday. We'll remind you again tomorrow during the movie night. But until then, have a great night. We'll see you next time. Quoth the Raven, nevermore.
Nevermore.